A while back, Genshin had released one of the most unique weapons in the game. This claymore, given out during the Natlan Summer event, gives a large amount of EM stats and energy refund, both of which are useful for the character I'm highlighting in this video, Razer. Razer has been pretty forgotten as a character, and though his time in the limelight will soon be upon us, I want to make him work without all the new bells and whistles he'll get. His kit is relatively simple. His skill deals an electric slash, which gets enhanced by his elemental burst, which spawns a wolf behind him that does coordinated electro attacks when Razer normal attacks. Razer was originally designed as a physical carry, as seen by his ascension stat. However, people have explored multiple ways to play him without using physical damage at all, including this comp. Jeff, the creator who popularized this comp, dubbed it as Thundering Furry, and even today, it's still an effective comp. Let me quickly highlight a couple of unique aspects of this team. First of all, you proc a lot of different reactions. Urgent / Hyper Bloom, Aggravate / Spread, Burning, Electrocharge, Overload, the list goes on. Razer also has a special characteristic where he applies Electro onto himself when his burst state is active, resulting in self-overloads with Bennett in the party. Razer is also one of the few characters that has access to Death Shred, thanks to his C4, making all the reactions he'll be triggering do even more damage. The only travesty is the fact that Razer's Ascension stat isn't useful in the slightest. Simply playing this comp as intended should be able to clear the Abyss fairly well, so I also wanted Dragonstrike in my rotation. This would mark the first time I've attempted to Dragonstrike in a video without movement speed. As you may know if you've watched any of my other videos, movement speed helps greatly with this technique, allowing you to move faster and get higher up in the air, combined with hit lag. I practiced doing it before on other characters such as Beidou, but not Razer specifically. The main ability I planned on Dragonstriking with was his skill. I didn't have much time to grasp the timing on anything else due to a harder clear I wanted to attempt for the 6.0 Abyss. Still, even with the easier regimen, I needed to at least test how feasible it would be for me to Dragonstrike with Razer here. I couldn't use the trees as I had commonly used in the past since I wasn't using normal attacks, so I had to practice on a different dummy. Even though I got the hang of it relatively quickly, I didn't have nearly as much time as I would have liked to practice due to the Abyss resetting in the day from when I was recording. Getting accustomed to the timing is something that takes me multiple practice sessions and at least one frame review, which I didn't have time for. So, unfortunately, the Abyss runs you're about to see aren't that well done overall. Apologies in advance. While I made sure my initial attempts at Dragonstrikes weren't flukes, I also settled on a rotation plan. Nahida EQ into Shincho EQ into Bennett N1 EQ into Razer N1 E plunge Q E plunge, then 2 and 3 E plunge into N2 E plunge to round off the rotation. I know, Genshin is never beating the EQ swap allegations with regards to support characters. The rotation overall would take approximately 21 seconds to execute, mainly locked down by Shincho's skill timer. You might also have noticed that my overall rotation scheme is a little bit hard to actually do properly, and you'll see me mess up on it quite a few times. You may also notice that I don't skill on Shincho twice. This is because I'm not putting Sack Sword on him this time, which you'll see when I discuss builds, which is now. For Razer, I'm using the Event Claymore as it's really good for a comp like this, and it gives him much needed energy regen. He is also on a 4-piece Thundering Fury set, both to increase reaction damage and get more skills off per rotation. Nahida's on 4-piece Deepwood with Kagura's equipped. Shincho has Fab Sword and 4-piece Emblem, and Bennett is on Aquila Favonia and 4-piece Instructors. I'm working with Fab Sword on Shincho this time for somewhat shorter rotation times, but also because I noticed that the amount of general energy generation was lacking for the other characters in the party, and only Shincho or Nahida really made sense to be a Fab weapon holder, and I didn't really want to sacrifice Nahida's damage output, so Shincho had to take the Fab weapon. As you'll still see though, I still had energy issues despite this change, and it made it so that executing my original rotation plan wasn't necessarily that feasible. With that, it's time to do the Abyss because I don't have time otherwise. I plan on using this team in the first half and Aplin's team in the second half due to the non-cry racism that is the Wild Hunt. I'll be mainly commenting over the first half portion of the Abyss runs. If you'd like to see the full runs without commentary, there's a link below to an unlisted video containing that footage. With that, see you in the Abyss runs. Alright, starting with the Abyss commentary here. I do start with my initial rotation plan, but I deviate from this later on because of an issue with Nahida's energy. I'm surprised that an ER Sands is not enough to make her consistently rotate in this team, despite having a fairly low energy cost. It's kind of frustrating, honestly. But you can see here, she just does not have the energy to ult on the rotation plan, so it's kind of weird. Main thing, I think if I want to do this, change a different rotation plan, I have to actually on-field Nahida twice during the rotation so that she can properly collect particles. If I don't do that, like you can see here, it's just bad. Yeah, I basically always have to swap to Nahida and use her burst after Shincho burst. So the rotation plan that I came up with does not really work, at least not with the weapon I'm using on her currently. I think if you use prototype Amber, it'll be completely fine, but you know, it doesn't currently, as you can see, it doesn't really work out that well. Also, I'm failing the Dragonstrike against this enemy pretty hard. I think it's just because I didn't practice enough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I practiced maybe 10 to 15 minutes at best, and that was more or less trying to settle on a rotation plan versus actually practicing Dragonstrike, which I would say is a mistake. But again, I didn't have much time to really prep for Dragonstrike practice, so it is what it is. The Bishop is pretty easy with this team, relatively speaking, because Nahida is a pure counter to the Hydro Shield that it puts up, as well as being able to normal attack. Thick dodge there, by the way. Dragonstrike isn't really touted as a dodge technique, but it can be used to avoid certain attacks, like the Bishop's Hydro Balls, for example. I'm not really sure what I was doing here, to be honest. I should have just stayed on Nahida. I think I was scared of her dying because of the Bishop's energy drain in combination with the HP drain afterward. So yeah, that's why I did that. And so far, like, relatively speaking, Dragonstrike isn't too bad in this chamber. And we basically kill this thing in a minute. Pretty quick, relatively speaking, for an Abyss half with a team that is not really meta. Okay, crap time. So there's a trick I do here, and spawning the bloom cores basically right as it gets up will delay them long enough to blow up the 3 mushrooms in the corner, and then Burgeon combination should blow up the other 3. Pretty quick, I get it down in 16 seconds, which is fairly good. If I have the correct setup, you can basically take it down really quickly. That's probably the biggest reason why I don't have much of annoyance towards this boss as some other players do, is because I know kind of what the setups look like to quickly take it down from its shield phase. Of course, you'll see later what a failed shield phase looks like, and it could take you like 20 seconds after the mushrooms have already landed, which is not good. Damage-wise, I don't think you can take this boss out before it goes into its second shield phase with this team. Unless you have better cards than I did. I didn't have really good cards when I was trying this out. But you can see here, because I don't already have the Bloom Core set up, I am fumbling. What I should have done here is after the Shincho E, I should have already swapped to Bennett and proc them with Burgeon instantly just to pop them. But I, as you can see, did not do that, which is why I am wasting so much time here. I think if you pop them instantly with using Burgeon with Bennett's E, I could have probably cleared this boss by 820. But because of how poorly I optimized that shield phase, I just lose out on so much time for nothing. Well, when cleans up the second half, it allowed me to express my thoughts on Razer. I think the team works pretty well. I'm gonna be real with you, I'm not terribly satisfied with my gameplay, but I mean, it's either that or I never upload this video, which I guess arguably I should have done. But I did want to get a video on Razer out before he gets his time in the limelight, just so that I have a point of comparison when talking about him for the video I plan on doing, and that later. overall, dragon striking on Razer is not too difficult relative to other characters, so with some more practice, I'm sure I could probably get the hang of it more easily. At any rate, thank you for watching, and see you next time.